Are you craving a trip on Space Mountain? Well, we've got the next best thing. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli, and in today's House of Mouse headlines, Pixar Pier has opened, there are some new surprises coming to Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party, and Walt Disney Animation as well as Pixar have named their new chief creative officers. That and so much more, so let's get to it.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
The short-awaited Pixar Pier has recently opened, and now Disney California Adventure officially has a new land in the park. Perhaps you remember that not so long ago in 2008, Toy Story Midway Mania opened in Paradise Pier, which began a transformation of the land with more Disney characters' presence in the attractions, unofficially dubbing the land Paradise Pier 2.0. Paradise Pier 2.0's completion really happened in 2010 with the opening of the Silly Symphony Swings and the premiere of World of Color. Now, just 8 years later, a portion of this land has now been transformed into Pixar Pier. Really, it's Pixar Pier 1.0, considering there are two attractions that will be opening later in 2019. Those two attractions will be an inside-out ride, as well as Jessie's Critter Carousel. For now, we have the Pixar Pal Around, which is just a reskinned Mickey's Fun Wheel, and the rethemed California Screamin' into the Incredicoaster. The Incredicoaster is arguably the main attraction of Pixar Pier, and I think they've done a really nice job creating a story around what was once just really a fun roller coaster. The story is that the coaster's been dedicated to the Parr family to thank them for their heroic feats, but Jack-Jack gets loose and the ride becomes a chase to save Jack-Jack. They've created several enclosed tunnels for the attraction, which is where the story elements come into play. One of my favorite parts of California Screamin' was how well synced the ride was with the musical score. That tradition has been kept alive, featuring music from the Incredibles films along with the character dialogue. Also available at Pixar Pier is the Lamplight Lounge, which used to be Ariel's Grotto and Cove Bar. The story of the restaurant is that it's a hangout for Pixar animators, so you can see their doodles all around the restaurant. There's a lot of exposed brick and hardware seen throughout the space. One of my favorite design elements is the grand chandelier in the entry, featuring many sketches of our favorite Pixar characters. And for all of you fans of the lobster nachos previously seen on the Cove Bar menu, don't worry. They're still on the menu, except with a bit of a price hike. One of the things we did lose with Ariel's Grotto is the character dining that used to be available in this space. I'm personally hoping that in the not-so-distant future, they'll have some Pixar character dining available in this space. Now, something that was scheduled to open with the first phase of Pixar Pier but has been delayed is Bing Bong's Sweet Stuff. It's been announced that Bing Bong's Sweet Stuff will open later this summer and will feature unique sweets and treats inside. So now, the final piece of Pixar Fest has been put into place. Pixar Pier has opened, and with that, we get the highly anticipated Incredibles float added to the Paint the Night parade. The float features the entire family as well as Frozone. Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl are portrayed as park characters, Jack-Jack and Violet are portrayed by statues on the float, and Dash is portrayed by lights racing around the float. If I were the cast member who is a friend of Frozone, I'd be quite terrified by my position on this float. Frozone is standing on a platform that sways back and forth, floating high above the float. Of course he's strapped in, but there are no guardrails. I think this is the first time I've seen a character on a float, and I've been concerned for their safety. I'm sure all of the proper safety measures are in place, but this one looks a bit precarious. I'll include a video link in the episode description. Take a look for yourself and see what you think. In the news of more nighttime entertainment at Disney California Adventure, it looks like World of Color won't be returning as soon as we initially thought. The belief was that World of Color would be returning once the construction of Pixar Pier was completed, but it looks like it won't actually return until later this year. I was kind of hoping that an entirely new Pixar-themed World of Color would open with the opening of Pixar Pier, but I guess that's not going to happen. I don't believe there's been any news about what'll happen with Paint the Night after Pixar Fest ends, but perhaps if Paint the Night ends its run after Pixar Fest, World of Color will take the parade's place as the nighttime entertainment at Disney California Adventure. Or perhaps we won't see World of Color again until the holiday season. Staying at the Disneyland Resort, but heading over to downtown Disney, many of the shops at the end closest to the Disneyland Hotel have closed to prepare for the new hotel construction. Recently closed are the Rainforest Cafe, ESPN Zone, and the AMC movie theaters. At the time of recording this episode, the Starbucks, Disney Vacation Club, and Earl of Sandwich are currently open, but will be closing soon as well. You have a bit more time to get that final taste of the holiday turkey sandwich before it closes at Downtown Disney. Of all the businesses closing for this hotel, the one I'm really hoping reopens as part of the hotel is Earl of Sandwich. In fact, I don't want to wait that long. Let's get it built at the other end of Downtown Disney. Frankly, if Downtown Disney can have 2 Starbucks, I don't see why it couldn't have 2 Earl of Sandwich. Also happening at Downtown Disney is the partially reopened World of Disney store. As we previously announced, the classic World of Disney stores at both Downtown Disney and Disney Springs were getting a whole new look, but no details of the new style had been released. With the recent opening of the store, we can see that it is a very industrial warehouse kind of vibe. It once again has exposed bricks very much like the previously mentioned Lamplight Lounge. It's a very modern look, and I personally think that it looks nice, but it's not very magical. If you were to take all of the merchandise out of the store, from what I've seen, you wouldn't be able to tell that it's a Disney store. It definitely feels like a store that kids are less likely to want to spend as much time in. The previous rendition of the store was full of characters and colors, kind of like a kid's dream. I'll be curious to see how this affects sales. If children do indeed want to spend less time in the store, does that mean that that allows for more people to enter the store to shop, or does that mean that children will spend less money in the store? I'm not really sure what the answer is, but I wonder if the new look will affect overall sales. Disney Springs store hasn't reopened yet, but they have hung a new sign out front with a much more modern look to it. Now for some Walt Disney World news that probably makes me happier than it should. One of the greatest annoyances for me on a Disney vacation is waiting for the bus transportation. One thing that makes it better is knowing when you can expect for the bus to arrive. In the past, they hung monitors with arrival times at the bus stations, but now you can see bus arrival times right on your phone in the MyDisneyExperience app. The app includes up-to-the-minute updates as to when you can expect your bus to arrive. This should make planning for your park hopping a lot easier and is a welcome addition to the app. The most wonderful time of the year will be here before we know it. That's right, Halloween and autumn are just around the corner, and now Walt Disney World is offering the ultimate Fall into Magic package. Here's the description from the Disney Parks blog. The limited time deal includes a 5-night stay at a select Disney Resort hotel for guest arrival on September 3rd and departure on September 8th, plus 4-day Magic Your Way tickets and an itinerary full of magical experiences in all 4 theme parks. On September 3rd, the guests will arrive at Walt Disney World Resort. Then on September 4th, you'll head to Epcot for an exclusive welcome dinner party inspired by the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. On September 5th, you'll head to Disney's Animal Kingdom for a nighttime Kilimanjaro safari adventure, as well as exclusive Rivers of Light viewing, just for guests on this package. On September 6th, you head to Disney's Hollywood Studios, where you can play around with 2 hours of exclusive evening access to Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios. September 7th takes you to the Magic Kingdom, where you have access to Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party. And then on September 8th, the magic ends when guests depart Walt Disney World Resort. This starts at $149 a person per night for a family of 4 in a standard room at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort for a total package price of $2,980. Speaking of Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party, there are some new additions coming this year to the Magic Kingdom Party. In addition to all of the regular events like the Halloween Parade, fireworks, and Hocus Pocus stage show, Disney Parks blog tells us that we can expect to see the Mad Tea Party take you for a colorful ride as new lighting and effects give a new spin on the night. I personally get nauseous enough on the teacups, so I'm not sure that new lighting effects will help me out so much. Depending on the color of your costume, you could transform under the new dancing lights. Over in Pirates of the Caribbean, new pirates invade the experience, interacting with sailing guests who will join the search for Gunpowder Pete. Now, I'm not quite sure what this means, but does this mean that live actors will be added to Pirates of the Caribbean? Because if so, that is super cool. On Space Mountain, explorers will hurtle through deep space as a new soundtrack and special effects transform the adventure. I wonder whether or not this will be similar to Disneyland's Space Mountain Ghost Galaxy, or if it's going to be something different. Also new this year, Storybook Circus welcomes the Storybook Circus Disney Junior Jam, a dance party featuring some of your favorite Disney Junior characters, including Doc McStuffins. I have my party tickets for Halloween night, and now I'm even more excited for Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party. And now for the big news of the week. The Walt Disney Company has found their new chief creative officers for both Pixar Animation Studios and the Walt Disney Animation Studios. As previously mentioned, John Lasseter will be leaving the Walt Disney Company on December 31st of this year. And now we know that on January 1st of 2019, Pete Docter will take over as Chief Creative Officer of Pixar Animation Studios, and Jennifer Lee will take over as Chief Creative Officer of the Walt Disney Animation Studios. The thing that makes me most happy about this decision is that there will be two people taking over these positions. Having one person in charge of both seems to be too much work, and frankly, gives one person too much power. I'm not super familiar with Jennifer Lee, but considering that she was a large part of Frozen's success, she obviously knows what she's doing. In the case of Pete Docter, he has been a large part of Pixar ever since the beginning. He's responsible for films like Up, Inside Out, and Monsters, Inc. I've personally had several conversations with Pete Docter, and he was always such a kind, passionate, and entertaining person to speak with. I'm excited to see what these two will bring to the next generation of Disney animation. Now that is the news for the week, but I do want to remind all of you that Toy Story Land will be officially opening at Disney's Hollywood Studios this upcoming Saturday, June 30th, 2018. Of course, before we get going, we gotta get to this week's Twitter poll. On this past Wednesday's episode, it was all about Incredibles 2, so I asked on the Twitter poll of the following choices, who is your favorite Incredibles character? Your options were Jack Jack, Dash, Frozone, or Edna Mode. Now, in last place was Dash with 15% of the votes, Frozone at 17% of the votes, and then Jack Jack at 33% of the votes, with a very close Edna Mode at 35% of the votes, making her the winner. If you want to take part in the Twitter poll, make sure you're following DIZNEYCTC over on Twitter. A new month is coming up, which means there will be a new Disney music playlist that I'm creating for you, so make sure you sign up for that over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com by clicking on Playlist. All of our social media can be found at DisneyCoastToCoast.com, and don't forget to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on iTunes to help other Disney fans find the show more easily. This episode of Disney Coast to Coast was produced by Philip Elke, who has supported the show through Patreon. If you'd like to become a DCTC producer or gain other rewards, more information can be found at patreon.com/DCTC. But for now, guys, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for watching Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePaoli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.